This is the game Darwin's Journey as played on Board Game Arena. Darwin's Journey is a worker placement game where you are simulating Darwin's journey across various islands to explore different species, publish research, and fill goals and become experts in various fields and gain the most points by the end of the game. At the end of 5 rounds, while sailing your ship, going around in islands, collecting specimens, publishing research, and so forth. There's a lot to comprehend here, I understand, but once you kind of get some of the basics, it's not too difficult to overall understand what's going on. This is a standard worker placement game where there are spots where you can place your workers. You start off with 4 workers. You can get a 5th, but you start with 4. And your workers can go in various spots. But there are a few different things to note about the worker placement that's important. So, number 1, the different types of spots are these magnifying glasses here. You've got 4 for these 4 basic actions. There's a square one here and here. There's a rectangle one here. Those magnifying glasses can fit any number of workers. So if somebody is there, you are welcome to go there again. And then there are some spaces that are lenses, and there are a few out there already. Those only allow 1 person to go in them, and not all of them are available at the beginning. So the ones that you see here are available, but then there are these various spots that have to be opened up by a player. So if somebody puts their lens here, then that spot is open for others to go to, and whoever put it there gets a little bonus when they go to it as well. So that's number 1. Those are the types of spots. Magnifying glasses can hold as many as possible. The lenses can only hold 1, and lenses can be added as the game progresses. Number 2, the board is divided into sections. So these right now, because it's a 4-player game, each page, and so this is a book here, and a book here, and a book here, and a tiny little book here. And each page on a book is its own section. In a 4-player game, the pages individually are sections. In a 3 or a 2-player game, the entire book is a section. Sections are important because if someone else has put their worker in a section, and you want to put your worker anywhere else in that section, or even if it was your own worker that was put in that section, you have to pay. For 4 players, it's 2 coins. For 3 as well. But for 2 players, it's 3 coins to place your worker. So if yellow had placed a worker in here and I also want to do this action, I can, but it will cost 2 coin to do so. And again, if it were a 3-player game and somebody in this whole book was a section, somebody went in this green one and I wanted to go over into this blue spot, I would still have to pay. So it's important to remember those sections. If someone is there already, you want to go, you can, but you have to pay. This is also its own section, right? So if somebody's there and you want to go to this spot, you have to pay the 2 or 3. These spots over here do not require payment of their sections. It's just these book spots. All right, that's number 2. Number 3 is the requirements for going to a spot. So as you can see here, your workers have what are called seals next to them. Red, in this case, this player has green, red, and blue, and then a purple one. Everyone gets this top purple one. And then the other 3 depend on what crew cards are drafted, and we'll go through that in a bit. But we've already gone through the drafting process of the crew cards, and that determines these starting seals for each of these. There's also yellow, but in this case I just had green, or this player has green, red, and blue. a worker, in order to go to a spot, has to fulfill the requirement of that spot for these basic, these basic and more advanced actions. Again, the actions over here don't have those requirements, but any of these in the book, in these main books, do. And so this character here, this worker here, can go to this spot because it's one green. This character could go to this red spot. This character could go to this blue spot. The purple is a wild, and so this one can go into any of these that only require one seal. Over the course of the game, you can get more seals. There are some over here, and this action here gets those seals, and you add them onto an individual. So if this one were open, right, if somebody had created this lens, and I wanted to go here, which lets me do the explore of 3 instead of 2, I would need somebody who had 2 green seals. And so if I bought a seal over here, and I put it next to this player right here, now this worker has 2 green seals and would be able to go there. You don't always have to have the same color seal next to it. In fact, some require different seals to be next to each other. For instance, this action, you need a red and a yellow seal. So if I put a yellow one next to that one, then this worker would be able to go there. Note that you can't put any extra seals next to this one here. It's just a purple, but that purple is wild. There are also these diamond knowledge tokens that you start out with 1, and you can gain them over time through various benefits and other ways, bonuses that you might get. Those knowledge tokens are spendable seals. So when you typically, like if this worker had 2 green seals and I went here to this spot, I wouldn't be spending those seals. He's just got 2 green that's his qualification, that's his trait. But if I wanted 3 green seals and I only had 2 here, I could spend a knowledge token. That would be a temporary seal for that worker, so he could go to this 3 spot. Those are the 3 main things to understand about worker placement. Where you can go and how many can go there. So the magnifying glass can take as many as they want. The lenses can only take 1, and they're not all put there yet. 2, if you go in a section, which for 4 players is just a page, but for 3 or 2 players is a full book, then if you go in a section where there already is a worker, even if it's your own, you have to pay either 2 or 3 coin to do so. And the worker that you place has to be qualified for that spot. They have to have the number of seals that are required in order to go to that spot. All right, let's talk about the various spots that you can go to. Well, we mentioned being able to put out a lens. This spot here, if you want to go to this spot, is how you create a new lens. So you put your worker here, there's no requirements around it, and then you choose one of these to go to. Now these advanced ones you can do in any order, but these have to be done in top to bottom order. So let's say I wanted to put my lens on this spot here. I would put my worker here, pay 4. Whenever you see a coin with a red on it, that means you have to pay 4. And then my lens will go on there. Now as a bonus for being the one to place the lens, I get to do this action even if I don't have the requirement for the wax seals. So that's kind of a way for the first person to create that spot and open that spot for people, get the little bonus there. So if I went here and I didn't have a worker that needed, that had 2 seals, I could place it here for 4 coin and take that 3 explore action as I wanted to. Same here. If I wanted to pay 6, then I could take this action without having a worker that has 2 yellow and 2 red seals. That's probably less likely, so that might be the only way I can do that action if I'm the first one there. That is the lens action. Now how do you get more seals? That is this action here. If I place a worker here and he has a red or the purple, then I can choose one of these seals. The ones up here are free, but then if I want them farther down, they cost money. And after each round, the top row will be erased and everything will slide up. So these cycle through. That is how to get one of those. The more advanced ones let me get 2, and they give me a discount. So if I go here, then I get 1 seal and another seal for a discount of 1. So if it costs 1, it doesn't actually cost me any. And then finally this one, I get 2, and one of them can basically be any of them for free. All right, let's now talk about the explore actions. These two are for exploring on islands and moving along with your ship, and it has to do with this map down here. We've got here the simplified symbols here, just so you know, and there is an option to do the originals so that they match what's on your specimen board here. But for me, playing on BGA, it's much easier to tell what's what by looking at these here, because it shows me the color and the type of the animal, and I don't really care which specific species it is. So you can see here, there you have an explorer on the start of the island, and you have your ship at the start of this long shipping lane. The two actions that you can do, this is to take one of your explorers a certain number of spots, and this one is to take your ship up a certain number of spots. The ship will continue to go up, and you can follow the different detour paths as you wish, and multiple people can be on a spot at the same time. So if I got a 2 and I went here, and then somebody else got a 2, they could also be there. There's also this ship, which is called the Beagle, and this ship is kind of the pacing of the game that will go to these specific spots over the 5 rounds of the game. We'll talk about what that specifically does, but just know that that moves along, and there are benefits to keeping up with the Beagle, because if you don't, if you get these bonuses from the Beagle, if you're way behind it, you could get penalties for it as well. If you land on something, so if I have a movement of 2, I can go up to 2 spots, or if I got a movement of 3, I can go up to 3 spots. And let's say I landed on this spot here, then I would get this bonus. Or I landed on this spot here. If you pass through it, you don't get the bonus. It's only the bonuses you land on. And again, you can land on places that people already are, including where the Beagle is. As you go through this, as you pass these banners, you get new explorers on the different islands. So if you first start with one explorer here, but then when you pass this banner, you get a new explorer here, and then when you pass this banner, you get a new explorer here. And now with the explore action, you can choose one of those explorers and move up to that number of spaces. Now, the difference with this exploring is that you cannot be on the same spot as another explorer, except for the first and the very last. So if somebody were on this blue spot and I got a 2, then I could either stop here at the 1, or I would skip over to this to go 2. I could not go to the same spot. There are a lot of branches in these, so you can choose which way you go. And the nice thing with BGA is when you get an option, it'll show you all of the options that you have and where you're allowed to go. And then you can see what possible bonuses you might have. Let's talk about some of those bonuses. So we see here these plus coins. When you land on those, you get that many coins. Here's where you can get a knowledge token. These bonuses here, if you land on this 10th spot, you can use one of your tents, and if there's space, because there's up to 2 spaces that are available, and some of them will cost, like the first time somebody uses this, they get it for free, but the next person has to pay. If you land there and want to use your tent, then you take the tent from here. These are your 5 tents. You start from the top and take them, and you place it there. If there's a bonus up next to the one that you take, so the first one isn't, but the second one you would get, 2 money. This one you would be able to do an action and so forth. you would place it here, and then you would take whatever action that may be. In this case, the stamp action, which we'll go over in a bit. This one here, if you land here and place your tent, you get to take a ship 2 action, so I can move my ship twice. And there are various different benefits that you can. And then there are other symbols that let you take different actions, like this lets you take the objective action and get an evolution point, and we'll talk about what those mean. This one lets you take a seal without paying for it. So various things that'll do that as you hover over the different actions. You should be able, it should show you for most of the bonuses what those bonuses give you. Let's see. Well, in some of these it doesn't, but whenever you see this symbol, you're going to look for that symbol, as an action that you can take up there. Note that there are campsites for the boats as well. So if your boat lands here, you can put a tent as well. So if I put a tent here, then I get to take this objective action plus I get 3 coins. Finally, and maybe most importantly with exploring, are the specimen actions. So when you land on a specimen, then you research that specimen. And again, I made it simpler, so this is just blue bird. And then if you look here, your blue bird, it's specifically this one here. It looks like a penguin of some sort. When you research that bird, you get a little coin. In the physical game, it's like a clear stone. It gets put on this bird. And now you have researched that penguin. And there are reasons, that will help complete various objectives and give you points for certain things. But the most important thing about researching it is if you then have researched that and are the first one to publish that research through this action, then you can get some bonuses out of that. And so there are various ones that you can research and get that information on, but the first step before you can publish your research is to do the research itself, which is to land on that spot, research it, like you're researching it on the island, you found that species, and then you have that spot available. BGA will show you, and we'll look at that in a little while, who has which ones of these researched, and then the first one to publish that research will fill in the spot and get bonuses for that. Now, the way that happens is through this action here, or whenever you see this symbol, that means publishing a research. And so if you have researched an animal or specimen that has not been published so far, so none of them have been published yet, but if something had been published, even if you had researched it, you couldn't publish it again unless you did, this special action here. You would there would be a tile that's placed on top of this spot. So we're actually, the blue bird, this penguin here. And a few things happen. First of all, because you're the first one on this row to get it, you get this coin here, and then some point. Then it looks at the row and the column, the row and the column, not this individual one, but all the rest of them. And all of the little bonuses on the bottom right you get. Now the first person to put it in gets a lot of money. So if I put this one here, I would get a coin here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more coins for placing it there. But on the research tile, there's actually a little book, an evolution point. And so if then the next person went here, they wouldn't get the 1 coin, and then they would get the coin here, coin here, coin here. But this one they would get an evolution point, and this would they get a coin as well. So as this fills in, you get less money, but you get more evolution points on this track, which we'll explain in a bit. Basically, these are multipliers for the end of the game. So that's how you do research. You first get the specimen on your board, then you can go here and publish it. Note that if you want, you can pay 3 to publish 2. So if you've collected 2 specimens and they're both available and you have an extra 3 coins, then you can publish both of them. And often that first one will get you enough coins to do the second one. So it's a nice move to get both at once as long as you're not racing to research it before somebody else. The rest of the bonuses, again, are taking different actions. Whenever you pass one of these banners that has a little book on it, you get that many points. Generally, whenever you see the books on it, you get that many points. That's points for the end of the game. And if you're the first person to go to the end of an island, you get an extra 3 points. Like I mentioned before, as you pass these extra spots, you get to have more explorers. And so if you have the explore action of 2, you can move this one 2, or this one 2, or this one 2 if you have all 3 explorers out. You cannot split the movement, and you only get 1 bonus wherever you end up landing. Remember that. Notice that the boat can also find specimens along the way. There's a couple spots that they can find those. All right, that is the explore action. That's probably the most complicated one, but it's important to understand that process of going to the islands to explore, getting more explorers with the ship, and make sure you're not falling behind the Beagle too much, and then publishing that research, researching those specimens on the explorer, and then publishing that research to get various bonuses, money or evolution points. The final basic action here is the stamp action. This one's fairly straightforward. Basically, when you go here, you get to put this number of stamps on one of these 3 envelopes. The stamps come from here. You have 12 that you start out with, and you can choose them from any pile, but you probably just want to choose them from one pile, because when you empty out a stack of stamps, you get whatever bonus is here. And some objectives require you to empty stamps here, right? Like this one here says have at least 1 empty stamp stack. So typically you're trying to empty them out so you get those bonuses. And then you place all of the stamps. So in this case 2, I would take 2 stamps and I have to place them all in one of these 3 envelopes. And these change each game, as do these. Then at the end of the round, there are 5 rounds. And a round ends when everybody uses up all of their people. Then there's a majority count on each of these envelopes, and there's bonuses based on that. So in this one, whoever has the most stamps gets 4 coins. Whoever has the second most gets 2 coins. Here it's a knowledge token and 2 coins, and this is just 2. Here you get to take 1 action of each. This one you get to take either or. Explorer or a ship action. Ties are friendly, so if 2 people had 2 stamps on here and 2 people had 1 stamp, then both people that had 2 would get the first place benefit, and both people that had 1 would get the second place benefit. However, if you get one of the 2 benefits, then half of your stamps from that envelope, rounded up, are removed. The rest of them stay, and if you didn't get any benefit, they do stay. So once you have to continually build that up round over round if you want to get those benefits. And again, you can do either 2, 3, or 4 stamps depending on the level of action that you take. Okay, so those are all the basic actions. We talked about Explorer. We talked about getting new seals so that you can increase the quality of your workers. We talked about putting stamps out, adding new lenses. These are all advanced actions that require usually some multiple various seals, not just all of the same color. They will change each round, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you what you do, right? Like this one, you get 3 evolution points. This one, you get to deliver a specimen that already been delivered. So if somebody had already put that research there, but you still wanted to, you could go here and do that and get the benefits from it. This one lets you put a tent out just wherever you want. This one lets you complete an objective without having the benefits for it. So there's just various things that these advanced ones do that are variations on the other actions. We talked about the 2 publishing. Well, we talked about this publishing action. This one is kind of the reverse of a publishing. So if somebody has published research for a specimen and you go here, you can take that and then put it back on your board. And you may want to do that for various objectives or goals or whatever that might be. And so you can do that twice, up to twice if you pay 3, and only one person can do that per round. This spot here lets you get a new objective. You start out with 2, which you draft, and there are silver ones that only can go up here when they're completed, and there are gold ones that can go anywhere. When you complete one of these objectives, and they all have different things, like this is have a reptile specimen and a empty stab stack. This is have 2 wax seals in your thing, and have caught up or overtaken the beagle. When you get one of these, you flip it over and you can place it on one of these, and you can do that anytime during your turn. And then you get the benefit based on what that may be. I'm not going to go through all of the benefits, but a couple of interesting ones. This one here gives you a 5th worker for the rest of the game. The worker doesn't have any seals attached to it, so you can either put him in one of the free spots or use knowledge tokens to make him do stuff. But it is an extra turn each round that you get, so that can be helpful, but you do have to pay 5 for it. This one here lets you go to a spot where a section where somebody else is, and you get, you still have to pay, but you have to pay 1 less. So if it costs 2, then you only have to pay 1 to go to the same section that someone already is. And there's a few other things, and then some are just points at the end of the game. These 2, if you get both of them, you get a little extra points there. This objective, if you put a person there, you get 2 coin just for that, and then you get to choose one of these objectives and place it and have it face up. If you can have 2 on the side, so if you have a space there, you can place it there, but if not, you can just place it face up on one of these, and as soon as you complete it, then it flips over. It's nice to have them on the sides, so when you complete them, you can choose what benefit you want, but if you know, I'm for sure going to get this discount next, I'm just going to take it, and I think I can get it quickly, and I'll put it face up here. So again, you don't get the benefit until the objective is actually flipped, but you can place them face up before that, especially if you have 2 on the side already. And then the final spot that you can go is this turn order spot. Right now, this is what the turn order is, but if you want to change that, you can put a worker here, and then at the next round, turn order will change. So if white really doesn't want to go last, they can put theirs here, and then maybe green wants to try to go ahead too. They can put, they can go here as well, and then they get here, and so then white goes first, then green goes first, and then these slide down, and they stay relatively if they haven't gone in there. So this is just a way to reorder turn between rounds. All right, a couple other things. Let's talk about seals. So you notice as you get seals on here, there are costs to them. So the second seal that a worker has is free, but then as you add more, they cost money here, and you have to pay that to put the seal down. If you put a seal here, then that worker becomes a silver level worker. And whenever you go to one of these spots, you get this silver bonus extra. So if you went to this spot, you would get an extra 2 coins for going to any of these. If you went to any of these, then it would let you move an additional space. If you, yeah, and so forth. If you hover over those, they'll tell you what you get with those. If you fill in this spot, then you get 3 points at the end of the game. And then if you fill this spot in, then you get 7 points at the end of the game and his gold. So you get both of these benefits. And for the Explorer ones, it's nice because it lets you take 2 stops on your journey. So if you went 4 Explorer options, and you had a gold worker, you'd actually get to go 5, and you get to stop extra. And so like if I had a guy here and I went 5 with that extra stop, I could stop here, get a specimen, and then here and do the 10, right? So you can get 2 bonuses with that action. So those can be pretty valuable if you get those qualified, high enough qualified. You can also get benefits like this one here, where you place a purple seal, which is a wild seal, and so then you can use that as whatever you need it to be. So like, let's say I had a wild seal here, I could use it for 2 reds, or I could use it for the red and yellow here as I needed to. Finally, you have crew members. These are drafted at the beginning, and they tell you what your starting numbers are. And then if you get a crew member that has this many seals, then you can get this bonus. Like here, this one lets you just unlock a lens and take the action without paying anything. This one moves you 5 spaces on the evolution track. This lets you just research any one specimen for free. The trick here is that when you use it on a row, then that worker can't be any other crew. So you can't have just get it to where it overlaps and you have a bunch of purples here and you qualify 2 of them for the same worker. That doesn't work that way. You can just 1 crew member per worker line. All right, the only thing we haven't covered are the bonuses. So after each round, there is a bonus that you can get, and these will be different each game. So for instance, this one, after the first round, for every yellow wax seal that you have, you get 4 points. This one for every reptile specimen, 6, and so on and so forth. This one for every lens that you've purchased, you get 5. The beagle will move to these various spots each round, and if you're behind the beagle, and specifically with these numbers here, those take away from that bonus. So let's say I got 1 wax seal at the end, but I was still back here and the beagle was up here. I would get 4 points, but then I would get -1 for being behind the beagle. If, let's say, the beagle was up here and I got this bonus, I got 1 of these, 6, but I was still way back here, I would get -2, -1. It would only get 3 bonus points. You can't go below 0, but it will take away from those bonuses if you are behind the beagle. So that's something to keep in mind if you are going for those, which can get you quite a few points depending on what they are. At the end of 5 rounds, points will have been earned over time, but then there will be points based on the additional points that are given out, including points for this, and this is where the evolution track comes in. Like I mentioned before, you're going to move along this evolution track as you go, and as you pass these certain multipliers, those will be multipliers for the end of the game. And how that works is, and there's a little symbol here, but basically you take 2 plus the number of completed rows. So if there are 2 full rows completed, that would be 2 plus 2. Then you multiply it by your evolution multiplier here. So if I had a guy right here, and there were 2 rows filled, it would be 2 plus 2, which is 4, times 6, which would be 24 points. So that can be significant as well. There are points that are given for coins that you have at the end, and extra knowledge tokens. I believe it's 1 coin per knowledge token, or 1 point per knowledge token, and 1 point per 5 coins. And then anytime you see this little symbol here with the arrow and to the line there, that means points at the end of the game, and so you can get those for these up here. Some of them will, here's a few as well. There's some, like here as well, so they could be scattered throughout. Points at the end of the game, and then whoever has the most points wins. All right, I know that was a lot. Let me just go over briefly one more time various actions. Or first of all, the 3 things you need to remember. You go on magnifying glasses with as many workers as you want, or lenses with 1 worker, but you have to buy those lenses through the section here. If you go on the same section, you have to pay, even if it's the same section as your own worker. And the workers have to be qualified to go through those wax seals. And they show the requirements for those different things that they would like to do. These 2 actions have to do with exploring, either going down the ship lane or taking one of your explorers a certain distance and you get bonuses and do research along the way. You take that research, which puts little stones on your board here, and then you can research those tiles here and get benefits, coins, and evolution points. This is how you get new seals, by going here, and this is where you can place stamps that give you bonuses at the end of each round. As you use up your stamps, you can also get bonuses as well. These are your tents that you can place along the paths. This is how you get new objectives that you can complete. This is how you change turn order up here. You can fulfill crew requirements in order to get those bonuses, or as you fulfill these objectives, flipping them over and getting those bonuses up here. The game lasts for 5 rounds. After each round, one of these objectives is checked. BGA actually tells you what the next objective is up here to kind of give you a nice reminder. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. All right, I'm going to go to a place about midway through the game so we can kind of see what some of that looks like. And then that should be all. Okay, I'm actually switching to a game that I'm in currently, about halfway through. We've gone through 3 rounds, so we're in the 4th round, and you can see I've gotten some seals, I've completed some objectives. I haven't gotten any of my crew cards yet. I've placed some lenses. You can see these 3 yellow lenses. I don't know if I mentioned, but if somebody else goes on your lens, you get a coin. So that's another benefit of putting those out. And we've made some progress here. Here's my ship here, and I have an explorer here, and I have an explorer that's gone through this island quite a bit, and he's up here. Now I need money. I'm running low on money here. I only have 2. I'm also looking at this. I have 1 of these researched. You can see right here, that's my one that's researched, but it'd be nice if I had 2 of them. And there is one that has already been published, so if I could go here, I could get that as a research point. So that's something that I might do. I could also try to get up to this spot or this spot, which would require me to go up to the, get my ship past here and then get my worker up here. So that one probably would be easier to get to. There's also this spot here, which lets me just add an explorer to any island, which I think I might be interested in doing. I'm looking at this one here. I'm aiming for this crew member right here. I've got 3 of them so far. They're going to be a little more expensive. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this guy here. So I select my worker. I'm going to go here. Notice that when you put the workers on, it shows you the costs, right? So if I went here to either of these, to this one, it would cost me 1 because I do have this benefit here that makes it cheaper. This one would cost me 1 and a knowledge worker. I do have 1. And then this wouldn't cost me any. So it shows you the different things. Like here I could go, but I would need another worker there. I'm going to go here. It does give green a coin, but that's all right. And I use my knowledge worker. But now I'm going to take both of these yellows. The first yellow I'm going to put here. So this is going to go towards that. It does cost me a coin. Now I'm down to 0, and I'm going to have to actually think about how I'm going to do this next turn. Maybe I'll go here to get first place and next round plus the 2 coins. I'm also going to take this one for free and put it here. Now this one next round will qualify for this, so I can turn in I'm going to restart because I want to use that worker for I've already used this one as well. I was going to say I wanted to use that worker to do this so that I could resubmit one of these for some money, but that's not going to work. So we're going to just do that again. Go here, get my 2 seals, 1 here, and now he's a silver level. So when I go, if I use him to go on this one, I'll get extra bonus moving. So I could I could go here to move my ship all the way to the Beagle. And then I'm going to use this one here. So now this guy is qualified to go here, but I will probably have to do it on the next rounds. So then for my next turns, I'm going to go here. Sorry, here. I will need some money because I can't go here without some money. But the next time when I go here, it'll give me, let me move up to 5 spaces, which will put me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, past the Beagle, so I don't have any downsides of my bonuses, and it will put a new Explorer there, so then my next turn I can go and get this, and maybe have one more enough to research that before anybody else does. Nobody else has it there. You can see who has each of the individual ones, and so I should be able to get that guy before anyone else, and hopefully before the end of the turn, and get that extra 6 points. So you can see you've got an end goal there, and you have a few different steps that you need to do to get to it. And hopefully I have enough people to do it. I may not, but we will see. All right. Now you've gone through the game, you've seen some play in action, kind of the thinking around what I can do, and that is how you play Darwin's Journey on Board Game Arena. There are some various options for making things easier. We talked about the large specimen cubes rather than these individual pictures, which are hard to kind of see. The research tokens, making those a little simpler so you can see those. We've got the worker placement costs that we've added, which are nice. This I turned off because when we were playing live, it would like keep switching this every time someone else would go, and I just wanted to pay attention to my own, but that's something that can be done. And so there's a few other things here. The museum cubes, this is the one that shows who has what. I think that's really helpful. And again, it shows this next objective. You can do this to kind of see the various things that you can do. If you have any questions about any of the bonuses, you can see all of them even if you really need to. And that is Darwin's Journey. Hope this was helpful.